Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing another hotel review, this time in Fort Lauderdale at the Méridien Dania Beach. It's a great pre-cruise hotel. It was very convenient to the port and it's very close to Fort Lauderdale Airport. So we're gonna do a full tour, check out the rooms, and give you my thoughts on the hotel experience. If you love these types of videos, please consider subscribing to the channel and like the vid. Alrighty, so we just arrived here in Fort Lauderdale. Quick and easy Phoenix to Miami flight in first class using Alaska Miles. Great deal as flights were over $1,000 each. And we have one of our last flights with our lap child, so that was quite a deal for sure. Up here in Fort Lauderdale, very quick ride to the port tomorrow. I'm gonna get on the Disney Dream and start our 5-night voyage over to Cozumel and then Castaway Cay. Super excited for the whole cruise, actually to have a sea day on board a Disney Cruise Line voyage for the first time. Have not had that, just stayed on board in Nassau a couple times, so it's gonna be our 4th time on board just any Disney ship, 2nd time on board the Disney Dream, so we're super excited. So as you arrive in the room here to the right is going to be the bathroom. So you have one sink in the vanity here, nice bright mirror, as well as a little makeup mirror, which is always a nice touch. Some glassware as well. Big notice here was that there was a lot more glassware in the room, which was really nice. Kind of had an upscale feel. Again, there's not too many of these around the US, so it's kind of fun to try this one out. But we arrived pretty late and it was time for bed basically when we got in. But a very, very nice room indeed. It had a nice little mirror here, as well as a little bureau for unpacking if you needed to do that. Kind of an old style telephone and different plugs right next to the bed in those lamps. And then across the way, what seems to be pretty standard in Marriott's, at least ones that have been renovated, is a massive television. It's really great. And then a small working desk with a lamp here so you can get some work done if you're here on business or if you're editing content in your room late at night. Free waters, Aquafina being the brand, and then some cool glassware as I mentioned. So you actually have wine, and then Illy coffee machines. So very high-end room coffee for sure. Get a little espresso going. And then a small mini fridge, which is always helpful for all that leftovers that you might find in delicious food here in South Florida. Small closet, but had all the essentials: ironing board, iron, little safe, as well as space for your hanging clothes. So not a gigantic room by any means, but it has plenty of space for spreading out. You have a little couch there with a table that you can pull to wherever you need it in the room. It's always nice little flexible option there. So I think that Marriott really does design a very good room for the common traveler, the travelers that are on the road all the time. So happy with this. Now this is our maybe 2nd time staying at a Le Méridien property. It's kind of cool brand. It started way back in, I think, in the 60s by Air France, and now Marriott owns them, so it's part of the Marriott Bonvoy program. So we used a free night award here. Not the most maximal use of the 35,000 point certificate, but gets the job done, saves us about $200, and it's a very nice hotel. A lot of European notes here in the room. I like the Illy coffee, the real wine glasses, so very nice little brand here. There's not many of them in the US. And then the next morning I woke up and did my full tours as I normally do. So we're gonna head out to the front of the property, show you what it looks like from the outside, and then head on inside. Beautiful views of downtown Fort Lauderdale as well as runway views. So if you're a plane fanatic, you're an av geek, you're gonna have awesome takeoffs and landings to watch over there in Fort Lauderdale Airport. So a couple different restaurants here on property as well. Toro being the kind of fanciest option. We actually have dined there because there's a Toro at the Fairmont near our house here in Scottsdale, Arizona. But it's a very nice restaurant, so definitely check that out if it's open during your visit. Wasn't open when we were here just because of the hours that we were on property. So they do have an airport shuttle for free from Fort Lauderdale Airport. That makes it very convenient to get into the property if you're flying in for a cruise like we were. Sadly, we have to fly into Miami Airport from Phoenix just to have that non-stop flight. So it was the most convenient option for us for this trip. So we still had to Uber, but overall not a bad Uber ride at all. I do love the lobby, nice tall ceilings, and the custom floor was pretty cool. It's a map of Fort Lauderdale, lots of canals and waterways in Fort Lauderdale, so that's pretty unique. It makes the hotel really feel like a part of the local community, which I always appreciate. The Constellation Cafe is the hotel's lobby restaurant. This is where you're going to get your platinum and titanium breakfast if you are using that perk. We were staying on my wife's account, so she's not platinum, so we didn't have breakfast this trip, but we were using that certificate, so completely free, always very nice. And a very nice lobby bar here. I like the design here, kind of that retro 1950s feel. So I love the Le Méridien branding here. It really did feel like a distinct brand, which I do love. Plenty of workspaces here or places to wait for a meeting or an Uber ride. Big television right there. Just beautiful lobby. So now let's head outside and enjoy some of the public spaces there. So this is Florida. People like to do things outside when it's not raining. So it's nice to have this covered patio and enjoy the weather when it's nice. We were here in the summer, it was pretty hot, but not that bad. Had worse weather in Florida. And it was nice and sunny when I was walking around making this video. So we're gonna go check out the resort style pool that they have here, which is pretty impressive, I think. It's a pretty expansive pool deck and a pretty large pool too. It's cool because from this side actually slopes in to the deepest part of the pool, so young kids can utilize that. Very nice zero entry area here. Just a little annoying if you're trying to swim laps. Not the best pool for that. They do have beverage service out here, I believe. We did not experience that because we were just kind of touching down here and heading to the ship. But a very nice little sun deck over here. Plenty of beach chairs, so you can definitely get your sun tanning on here if you're staying at the Le Méridien. And nearby the pool complex is going to be the fitness center. And I do think that something was going on with the fitness center during my visit. I think that either there was some sort of renovation going on or there was some sort of flooding because they had fans going on everywhere. I'm not really sure what was going on. There were no free weights available. I imagine that they are normally available, and not too many machines going on. They had a small little exercise room as well for different classes. And it seems like they had some fitness classes going on at certain times, yoga, stuff like that. So unfortunately didn't get a chance to really utilize this space. So I don't really know what was going on there. Now let's head up to the second story of the hotel where a lot of convention center space is. It was cool in the elevator. They actually were advertising the music track that they designed for the hotels. It's a 24-hour music track and very French inspired, very fun. But here's a look at the corridor for any meeting room space that you might need. And it did appear, unfortunately, that there used to be a club lounge here at the Le Méridien, and that appeared to be completely closed or really just used for private events. And that's a common theme across many hotels in the US market, especially since COVID, is that these club lounges just continue to close, and it's kind of more of a rarity. It's a great perk if you have status and you have free access to it, but unfortunately this hotel has closed theirs. But you have this nice view of the lobby from the second floor, and then you even have some outdoor space to hang out, maybe read a book or do an impromptu business meeting if you're here on business. But here is a look at the closed club lounge. The door was open, so I walked in and checked it out. It'd be nice to have that option available to elites within the Marriott Bonvoy program, but doubt that's coming back. So they do have a departures board because it's very close to Fort Lauderdale Airport, so very useful for people. But overall, that is the Le Méridien here in Fort Lauderdale. Now it's time for us to head to the ship. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you on the next vid.